Biden just continues to have a horrible weekend. Maybe it's because he's not working and he's taken like 18 vacations. He had to take a vacation from his vacation. But he gets these poll numbers that continue to come in showing that his own party's not with him. I want to lay out for you, though, my prediction as to where this thing goes. Because everyone keeps talking about, well, this one's going to get substituted in. Listen, just mark this down, save this episode, write it down, whatever you want to do. But I'm going to lay this out for you. I wrote a book about a year and a half ago called Radical Nation. And you have to understand what Biden's really trying to do. He wants to become the most progressive president ever. And he knows he's not doing it through accomplishment, right? Inflation's through the roof. Foreign policy's a mess. The military is facing shortages. I mean, wherever you turn, even Biden said in that interview with David Muir, wherever you go, when you turn on the TV, things aren't going well. So he's not going to become the most progressive president through accomplishment. He's going to become the most progressive president through appointments. Appointing the first gay cabinet member, Pete Buttigieg, not qualified, but doing the first 4-star person to lead whatever that person over at HHS. They're not qualified. They don't talk about their accomplishments and their experience. They talk about what box they're checking. So that in the future, every future left-wing administration is going to point to Biden as the progressive North Star and say, if you want to be more progressive, he's sort of, this is like the new way to show how leftist you are. Then you need to appoint 2 of them. You need to appoint 3. He appointed the first black female vice president. He never talks about her experience, does he? How great she is, how much she accomplished. She dropped out before the Iowa caucuses. Her own party didn't like her. She's never pointed to her accomplishments. I mean, Biden could say he'd been in the Senate. He was chairman of the Foreign Relations Committee. That's why Obama needed him to fill this void. She didn't fill a void. She checked a box. He said it. I want to pick a female black person. He didn't say I want to pick the most qualified person that could step in and be president. So here's where I'm going with this. Biden believes that his legacy, beyond what he's done already, appointing all these people who aren't qualified, but that he can say he's done it. First gay this, first transgender this, first female to lead this, first person of color. It's always the first, because that's his measure, his bar of accomplishment. Most people talk about jobs, things that they've done to advance America, make the country better. Nope, this is the new yardstick for him. So here's what's going to happen. He believes that he's the only guy that can beat Trump, which clearly the polls show is not the case right now. I think almost every Republican in that Wall Street Journal poll either can beat him or is within the margin of error. He believes he's going to run and win, and then he will step down, and Kamala Harris will be the president without a single vote having been cast for her. Mark my word, write this one down. That's what's going to happen. Gavin Newsom was out this weekend. He was on Meet the Press. We'll talk about that a little later. But he said, quite frankly, the filing deadlines are coming. This is how it's going to. So all this talk about Michelle Obama and all this, I'm sorry, guys. I've said this from the get-go of this show. The rules matter. And the rules are that you can't put somebody in. Filing deadlines occur, and that's how it's going to happen. They're going to pass. Even Gavin Newsom, who's dying to be president, realizes it's not going to happen. She will become president because, and this is only if, so don't get me wrong. This is the thinking. I'm not telling you this is how it's going to happen. This is their thought process. Biden's going to be able to say, I allowed the first female to become president. Because then it'll be him stepping down and handing it to her. But mark my word, all this Michelle Obama stuff, if someone tells you that Michelle Obama is going to be the nominee, they're a stupid person. I'm sorry. She's not running. She doesn't have an apparatus. She doesn't want the job. You have to be able to get the delegates. Those are the rules. And even Gavin Newsom says he can't do it. Now, I think he wants it, but there's no way unless there was an open primary, and there's not. Trust me on this. All of these people who tell you about these other plans don't understand the rules of the game. It's just not going to happen. The only way this works is the way I explained. He steps down after he, quote unquote, wins and hands it to her. Now that, of course, again, presumes that he wins. I don't think it's going to happen. I think the American people understand what's at stake and are seeing the country. But She was asked over and over again this weekend, is she ready to assume the presidency? And she said yes. The thing that was so interesting, going back to resumes, Margaret Brennan on Face the Nation asked her about these attacks, saying the only reason people want Biden to stay president is because of her. She started listing off all these things that the administration has done. And Margaret Brennan says, well, they're criticizing you, Kamala Harris. And Kamala Harris then ticks off her resume. She was like, I was DA, I was Attorney General of California and reelected, and I was, a United States Senator. That's your resume. That's great. That doesn't mean you're good. Doesn't mean you're qualified. Doesn't mean people have faith in you. I'm just telling you, that's what's going down. Well, if you enjoyed this content, make sure you click the link below to find out more, or you can go to SeanSpicerShow.com to stay up to date on all my content.